Two-thirds being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended. The bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
With that gavel pounding, it is official, as Scott MacFarlane said. We want to let him now focus his attention on Speaker Johnson, who's about to speak just over his shoulder, and bring in CBS News political reporter Zach Hudak on the phone. So, Zach, we were watching very closely whether or not Congress could make this happen in advance of the deadline. Now that it has passed, what does that say to you? What are your sources saying about the functioning of the government?
Lana, I think it was an impressive move for Speaker Johnson to find a way to get through this. He's still a relatively green speaker and had a very difficult dynamic to deal with where President-elect Trump, the most powerful man in the Republican Party, was calling for something that is, frankly, pretty different from what Republicans on the Hill typically fight for, which is to limit spending. And they typically use the debt limit as a main negotiating factor when they try to limit spending. So I think that was impressive that he got through there. But I think it's important to underscore that really all he's done is buy some time. He's bought time until March when they will need to pass another one of these, hopefully one that lasts a little bit longer, that's not a stopgap bill like this one. And additionally, after we return from the holidays, Speaker Johnson is going to have another election to determine whether or not he remains Speaker of the House. And I think a big question is going to be, does President-elect Trump throw his full support behind Johnson after Johnson abandoned what had been Trump's and Elon Musk's big push here in order to no longer have a debt limit? The question is, does Speaker Johnson still have enough support from President Trump to remain Speaker when we go into the next Congress?
So our viewers are seeing the House floor starting to clear out, many of those members booking it to make trains, planes, automobiles all on the way home to family and friends. Others are piling into where we still have our congressional correspondent, Scott MacFarlane, standing by to awaiting Speaker Johnson's remarks. So, Scott, if we still have you, and Zach, please don't go away because I want to continue talking with you as well. But Scott, let's reset the stage for our viewers, because this is where we were supposed to be a couple of days ago. And honestly, it doesn't seem like there is a huge change from that proposed bipartisan agreement to what they ended up just passing moments ago. Was this all an exercise in Trump exerting his power and then having to pull it back when it became clear that ultimately there was not going to be the congressional support for his debt ceiling increase?
There were some changes, some substantive changes, but not on those top-line things, Lana, that got the attention of Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and the leaders of both parties. Yeah, some of this is just a fig leaf. Some small things changed that let everybody try to escape with their political muscles intact. What's not there? Federal funding guarantees to rebuild that key bridge in Maryland, the one that was toppled this spring. The language that would allow for the transfer of the home football stadium of the Washington Commanders, things that people didn't think were terribly germane. It's a pretty big deal for the people of Washington and Maryland, but not in the bill anymore. But the disaster aid relief, which was so pressing, still in there. The government stays funded at its current levels through March. That was the plan all along. The debt ceiling was a late entry, so it was also a late subtraction. But what you saw here was a test battle. They're going to fight this fight again in March. They're going to fight this fight on many different things because the political dynamics stay so symmetrical. That House majority stays perilously narrow for Republicans. President-elect Trump and future President Trump are still going to make some requests that have to get forced through or pushed through that narrowly divided House. A lot of us expected this type of showdown, but potentially after he took office, not before. We saw how it played out this week. No huge winners, but it appears because of the overwhelming nature of the vote we just watched, no huge losers.
No huge losers. Very interesting, because we were very close to a government shutdown and it had a lot of drama.